This week's parsha, it says, "When Yaakov Avinu, Vayifka b'mokam v'yolan sham kivor hashemesh." Yaakov Avinu slept there kivor hashemesh because it became night. And Vayifka b'mokam, the Gemara learns in Bereshis, a famous Gemara, that the tefillos, the three tefillos, Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, avois tiknam, that the fathers, our fathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, were masaking them, and Ma'ariv was niskanai through Yaakov Avinu. The Gemara says Yaakov tikkun tefillas arvis shenamak. It says a pasuk vayifka b'mokam v'yolan sham ve'ein pigia ela tefila. Pigia is a lashon of tefila shenemar va'ata al tispal ba'ata omar zev al tisa ba'adam rida v'tefila va'al tifka bi. So you see from over there the lashon of pigia is the lashon of tefila. Says the Gemara that Yaakov Avinu was masakan tefillas arvis vayifka b'mokam v'yolan sham. The last year already we spoke out, I think it was last year, that Tosfos says that when Yaakov Avinu davened Ma'ariv, it was pretty early. It was still light outside. So Tosfos says over here that if we learn that the man for Ma'ariv is later on, but Yaakov Avinu davened earlier. Alma Muchach.
I thought the sunset before.
His spal arvis biyoim mi'achas his spal kvar havadaitel mahadir. So he says like this. The female actually Purashon the Kamal Rabbi Yehuda the Amr ad plaga mincha is to plaga mincha but Ma'ariv starts plaga mincha nicha v'yafa minik shalanu that we daven Ma'ariv early the adarabah toiv the spal b'oid yoim k'tas. So he says a lashon toiv. Because Yaakov Avinu was Masakan Ma'ariv, and he was Masakan Ma'ariv, it was still a little bit day outside. He davened, it was still light outside. So here's the Makar to daven Ma'ariv when it's still light outside.
And not only that it's tough because of what Yaakov did.
Yeah.
You were kind of emulating Yaakov by doing it a bit
because Yaakov was Masakan Tefillas Ma'ariv.
Yeah.
And when did he daven Ma'ariv?
I thought that's why the sun set, so he could daven Ma'ariv.
No.
No?
He davened Ma'ariv.
Oh. I thought that I heard.
He still would repeat Kriya Shema.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. In the beginning of Masechtas Bereshis, you have to pre Kriya Shema or not. There's a Shizah Bein Tam that says you don't have to pre Kriya Shema.
Yeah.
That's the whole. Because who says Kriya Shema? No, because the question is Ma'ariv. We'll see now. We'll see that's what the shir is about. Ma'ariv means tefillah. Tefillah Shema Shemona Esrei. Ma'ariv doesn't mean Kriya Shema. So Ma'ariv, let's say Ma'ariv is by day. Does that change Kriya Shema? Kriya Shema has to be at night. Kriya Shema has to be at night. So bringing down Ma'ariv earlier, that's the beginning of brachas. All the Rishonim are very busy with this. Rashi, Tosfos, the Rosh. There's a big machlokes in the Shar. Maybe one day, I think we went through a little bit once, but we're not going to go through it today. It's a big machlokes. If you daven Ma'ariv early, fine. What happened to Kriya Shema? When they say Birchas Kriya Shema, so you say it then, you repeat it again later on, fine. So that's what it says. That's the Makar to daven Ma'ariv early. The Gemara, the next block says that Tefillas Erev Ein Lekva. So the Gemara says, what does it mean? My Ein Lekva command Omar Tefillas Arvis Rishos. Ma'ariv is a Rishos. Ma'ariv is not a Chiyuv. Shachris and Mincha is a Chiyuv to daven. Ma'ariv is a Rishos. Ma'ariv is not a Chiyuv. The Omar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel Tefillas Arvis Ma'ariv, Rabbi Gamliel, Eimer Chayva, Rabbi Shua, Eimer Rishos, Amar Abaya, Halacha Kedivra, Eimer Chayva, V'Rava Amar, Halacha Kedivra, Eimer Rishos. We paskin that Ma'ariv is a Rishos, and that's what we paskin.
So I have two questions. Number one, is that why women don't daven Ma'ariv? A.
Yeah, answer is yes.
And B, if you forget to do Ma'ariv, why do you do two Shemona Esrei?
Yeah. So the reason is even though we paskin that Tefillas Arvis is a Rishos, still. Today we will makabel upon ourselves to be like a chayv, and today it has to do like a chayv. But we'll see, there's still a lot of nafkaminas, the fact that Tefillas Ma'ariv is only a rishos. That's the machlokes here. We pass on Tefillas Ma'ariv as a rishos, and then the Gemara goes into the whole famous Ma'aser of Gamliel, who was taken away his nesius from him over this machlokes between him and Rabbi Yeshua. The whole famous machlokes with Rabbi Yeshua and Gamliel. So, and Rabbi Ben Azariah he was 18 years old, he became the Nasi. That's the Gemara comes from this machlokes if Ma'ariv is a Rishos or Ma'ariv is a Chayva. We pass Ma'ariv is a Rishos. Now, Tosfos says, the Gemara says really in Daf Dalim Beis and Brachos, that we know there's a chiyuv to be masmich geula l'tefillah. You daven Shachris in the morning, go al Yisrael, and right away you go into Shemona Esrei. Why? Because the Gemara says you have to be masmich geula. Amar Rabbi Yechon Ezu ben Haba zeh asemich geula l'tefillah shel Arvis. And Tefillah Shachris. Also, the Gemara says you have to be semich geula l'tefillah. You say go al Yisrael, you have to go ahead and you have to say Shemona Esrei right away. Shachris in the morning, you say go al Yisrael, and we're not mafsik, we don't even announce Omer, and that's why the Chazan says it quietly, and we go straight into Shemona Esrei, because you have to be Seimach, Geula, L'Tfilah. By Ma'ariv, it's not that way.
Right. Except you're smart, or you're babish.
No, the question is why? Why? Ma'ariv is Ashkenazi, everybody says.
No, but I'm after go. Right.
Ashkenazi, everybody says.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm thinking of that. Yeah.
So the Gemara asked the question about Hashkivenu. He said Hashkivenu after Gal Yisrael, and the Gemara says it's K'Geula Richt Damya. It's one long Geula. Hashkivenu is part of Gal Yisrael. But Tosfos is bothered by a different question. We said over there in the fourth parak that Tefillah Ma'ariv is a Rishus. How can you go ahead and tell me you have to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah by Ma'ariv? You don't have to have Ma'ariv if you don't want. So those who hold you have to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah by Ma'ariv obviously must hold that Tefillah Ma'ariv is a Chayva. If not, how can you tell me you have to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah by Ma'ariv? I don't have to have Ma'ariv at all. I'll say Brachos, I'll say Kriya Shema, I can go home. I don't have to have Shemona Esrei at all. So how can you tell me it's a chiv to be Masmech Geula L'Tefillah? That's what Tosfos is bothered by. So say that this miu. So Tosfos has a question over here. You're very good. The Masmech Geula L'Tefillah Hashkivenu. But what happens with Kaddish? You say Kaddish by Ma'ariv. After Hashkivenu, after Baruch Shem L'Olam doesn't say it, you say Kaddish. So how can you say Gula Richter? And you have to be Masmech Geula L'Tefillah, but I'm to Ma'ariv, to Kaddish. How can you say Kaddish in between? Says Tosfos, miu. Okay, so from the beginning, near Hoy T'kinu Rabbanan, have the Gula Richter Dami, T'kinu, yeah. When we say that Amra Pirish, Mashan Oimrim Kaddish ben Geula L'Tefillah, L'Tefillah's Arvis, Lash Me'inon, the Loi Me'inon, Mismach Geula. Why? The Arvis, the Tefillah, Mishum, the Tefillah's Arvis Rishus. Since Ma'ariv is a Rishus, the reason why we say Kaddish by Ma'ariv between Hashkivenu and Shemona Esrei is to show us that you don't have to be Masmech Geula L'Tefillah. Why? Because Tefillah's Arvis is a Rishus. So therefore you can't say you have to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah, you don't have to daven at all. So Enochnami, if Avraham Goyen holds, you don't have to be Masmech Geula L'Tefillah, and that's why we say Kaddish in between Hashkivenu and Shemona Esrei b'Ma'ariv. Below in the here says Tosfos, because Rabbi Yechon who holds Tefillah's Arvis Chayva is the same Rabbi Yechon who says you have to be Masmech Geula L'Tefillah. So Rabbi Yechon who said obviously held it's a Chayv. So therefore it says at the end, even though we hold Tefillah's Arvis Rishus, V'chamokaim Mechayev L'smoich. Still there's a chiv to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah. Im kein gam lanu yesh l'smoich. Even though we hold that the Rishus, we should be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah. And the question is, what does this mean? If you hold Tefillah's Arvis as a Rishus, how can you say still Mechayev L'smoich is left to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah? What does this mean?
Why can't you simply say as far the Tefillah's Arvis is Rishus?
Yeah.
You have an option to daven Tefillah of Shemona Esrei by Ma'ariv or not. But if you do, the correct way to daven a Tefillah, any Tefillah, Shacharis or Ma'ariv, not Mincha, is to be Seimach Geula L'Tefillah.
Okay, so I'm going to take Manny's words, and I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to show you that something doesn't make sense.
Okay.
What are you saying?
What's Manny saying? That you're right. Davening to Seimach Geula L'Tefillah, Ma'ariv is a Rishus. You don't have to daven Ma'ariv if you don't want.
Yourself.
Welcome. Ma'ariv is Taka Rishus. You don't have to daven Ma'ariv. But when you daven, what should you do? When you daven, what should you do? You should be Semech Gulul Tefillah. So what are you saying? We have two ways of looking at the din being Semech Gulul Tefillah. I'm going to tell you two ways to look at it, and then we'll see if what Manny said makes sense. One way to look at it, it's a din in the Geula, in the Bereshis Goal Yisrael. It's a din. When you say Goal Yisrael, say it right into Shemona Esrei. It's one din. It's a din in the Geula. You have to masmech the Geula to the Tefillah. There could be another din. No, it's a din in the Tefillah. So before you do Tefillah, say a Goal Yisrael. What's it a din in? Is it a din in the Tefillah, or is it a din in the Goal Yisrael?
Well, we have mincha.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, the way I was looking at it,
the way man was looking at it,
it's a din in the Tefillah.
It's a din in the Tefillah. You're davening. Once you're davening, put a Geula next to it. Right. The question is, you have mincha, you have musaf, there's no Geula. So din in Tefillah, go ahead on the Tefillah and make it and put a Geula next to the Tefillah. Mincha doesn't have a smichas Geula Tefillah. Musaf doesn't have a smichas Geula Tefillah.
So you were saying because of that, it must be a din in the Geula.
So it must be a din in the Geula. So what are you going to say? Ma'ariv is a din. You have to separate the Geula to Tefillah. There's no din after daven. So when you daven, you have to separate the Geula to Tefillah. How does that work? If you look in Rashi, it's a very interesting Rashi. The Rashi says, where do we see you have to separate Geula to Tefillah? The smichas Geula Tefillah, Ramz David b'Sefer Tilim, the Chsev Hashem Tzuri v'Goyali, that's Geula. The Samach le Yancha Hashem b'Yom Tzara. It says Geula, and then it says Yancha Hashem b'Yom Tzara, v'Masmech Geula Tefillah. Fine. Then he says, Mishami says, Misha Eine Semech Geula Tefillah, L'Mahu Daima. What's he like? L'Yehavai Shemelech, a friend of the king. Sheba v'dafak al pischar, he knocks on the door, Shamelech. Yotza Melech, the Melech comes out. V'motza shehiflig, he's not there anymore, he ran away. Afhu, hiflig. He goes ahead, he speaks about the Eibishter, he takes it out of Mitzrayim and Geula and everything. And Eibishter comes to listen, and then all of a sudden, you're gone. So what do you want? You're saying all the good things I did, obviously, you want something from me, right? So go ask for it. According to that Pshat and Rashi, it's definitely not a din in the Shemona Esrei. It's not a din before you daven Shemona Esrei, you have to go ahead and say Geula. The thing is, when you're saying all the Shvachim about Hashem, about what He did to us, He took us out of Mitzrayim, He's such a good king to us and everything, so it's fine. So now go ahead, ask what you want. So you're not doing it anymore, you disappeared. So according to Rashi, it's a din in the Geula. The Geula requires to go ahead and have next to it a tefillah. So if that's the case, so what's Pshat Taisus? Taisus says that when you daven Ma'ariv, it's a Rishos, go ahead and be masmech Geula Tefillah. How does that work? So obviously Taisus is learning that in Rabbi Yechanan, who says you should be masmech Geula Tefillah by Ma'ariv, Taisus is learning that Rabbi Yechanan, the Ikket HaKana of Smichas Geula Tefillah was that you write Ma'ariv maybe Rishus, but still, I said, a little bit what you were saying, that when you go ahead and you daven Ma'ariv, put the Geula next to it. I did in the Shemona Esrei of Ma'ariv. Put the Geula next to it. Why? Because you have a chiyuv to say Geula B'chas Shema at night, so you can end up with nothing. You can end up with what? You can say Geula and then you run away. Therefore, put the tefillah next to it. That's what you have to say according to Rashi. Because if the whole din is a din in the Geula, to go ahead and say Goal Yisrael, and then don't just walk away, so then, says Rabbi Yechanan, at night, if you daven Ma'ariv, try to put the Geula next to the Ma'ariv, to the Arvis, for that reason.
But we don't hold like that. I mean, Ashkenaz says like that.
No, so the question is, we'll get to that in a second, fine. We'll get to that in a second. But you see from over here that even though we hold Tfilas Arvis for sure, if you hold Tfilas Arvis as a chayva, you have to daven Ma'ariv, so it's very pashut. You say Goal Yisrael, there's a chiyuv to be masmech Geula Tefillah the same way it would be by Shachris. If we would hold that Tfilas Ma'ariv is a chayv, then the same way you have to be masmech Geula Tefillah by Shachris, you have to be masmech geula l'tefillah b'mayriv. Same exact way. We hold that to Rishos. It's not a chiyuv. Therefore, we'll see there's a lot of differences. In the morning, if someone says Go Al Yisrael, he's a chiyuv to daven Shema Yisrael right away. You're not allowed to wait. You're not allowed to answer Omei. You're not allowed to answer Kaddish. Nothing. You have a chiyuv right away to go ahead and say Shema Yisrael.
That's what he said quietly, right?
That's what the Chazan says. Go Al Yisrael quietly. You shouldn't answer Omei. In the morning is a chiyuv, because since Shacharis is a chiyuv, so when they said you should be Somech Geula L'Tefillah by Shacharis, you're not allowed to stop. You have to continue right away, persuaded to Shacharis. By Ma'ariv it's a Rishus. Therefore, you should go ahead when you say Go Al Yisrael, go into Ma'ariv, you don't have to. And therefore, there's a nafkamina. What's a nafkamina? So one big nafkamina is if someone comes into shul, this happens unfortunately a lot of times, especially if you're davening Ma'ariv in the factories, in the mini factories, we never know when there's a mini Ma'ariv. So you run into Ma'ariv, you see they're in the middle of Ma'ariv already. They're holding you by Hashkevenu, so what do? So Allah is, you daven Shema Yisrael with them. Right? Allah is daven Shema Yisrael with them. And why daven Shema Yisrael with them? Because Tefillah B'tzibur. But what happened to Samech Chula Tefillah? So Allah is at night, Matzah Tzibur Shekar Krishma, V'roitzim Lamed B'Tefillah, Yispal Limoim, V'ach Kachik Krishma B'Chasel. Afterwards, go ahead and say B'Chas Krishma and Shema. But don't say it now and miss Tefillah B'Tzibur. Why? Because you're right, I should be Masmech Gula Tefillah, but since the whole Tefillah is Avos Rishos, so the whole Smichus Gula Tefillah is a Rishos, therefore the halacha is, you come in late, you daven Ma'ariv B'Tzibur, and then you go back to Go Al Yisrael.
In the morning?
In the morning, if you come in late, you don't do that. In the morning, if you come in, no matter how late you come, if the middle is saying B'Chas Krishma, you will not go ahead and say Shemona Esrei with the Olam and then go back and say B'Chas Krishma. You wouldn't do that. You have to say B'Chas Krishma, Go Al Yisrael, and then daven Shemona Esrei. Because in the morning it's a chiyuv to be Masmech Chula Tefillah. And that chiyuv is stronger than the chiyuv of Tefillah B'Tzibur. That's the difference. Shacharis is a chiyuv to daven Shacharis. Ma'ariv, since we pass Ma'ariv is a Rishus, therefore the chiyuv, the Masmech Chula Tefillah, can't be that you have to do it, because you don't have to daven Shemona Esrei. Therefore, Tefillah B'Tzibur comes before Masmech Chula Tefillah. That's one halacha. Another halacha that comes out is the Kaddish. We say Kaddish in between. And that's just that. If you hear someone saying Baruch Hu, you're allowed to answer Baruch Hu, you can answer Amen Yeshmei Rabbo.
When?
By Ma'ariv. By Ma'ariv, after Go Yisrael, after Hashkevenu. Hashkevenu is Gula Richter. Right? So you finish Shem Ram Yisrael Ad. If you don't say Baruch Shem Lo'ilam, you should go straight into Shemona Esrei. There's a Kaddish. You don't go straight into Shemona Esrei. Why not? Because it's a Rishus. Therefore, you let it answer Amen to other brachas. And not just that, it comes out a bit cooler here at night. In Milah B'Chas Kriya Shema, you're not allowed to answer Amen whenever you want. To all brachas. If you're in Milah B'Chas Kriya Shema, even my parent for parent, you don't answer Amen to all brachas. But after Shemin Amar Yisrael La'ad of Ma'ariv, so now you just finished B'Chas Kriya Shema. You're holding before Shemona Esrei. That time doesn't have a din of a Milah B'Chas Kriya Shema anymore. Because you finished B'Chas Kriya Shema. Now you're waiting to start Shemona Esrei. So after Shemin Amar Yisrael La'ad, you can answer Amen to all brachas. Even though beforehand, between Go Al Yisrael and Hashkevenu, you can't. After Shemin Amar Yisrael La'ad, now you're not B'Chas Kriya Shema anymore.
So why does like Babish and other people don't, they don't say...
Baruch Hashem?
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem is a whole different thing.
But I think that's the reason.
Yeah, so Baruch Hashem La'olam, there's questions of Baruch Hashem La'olam, I think we were sharing this a while ago. The Baruch Hashem La'olam was instituted when they didn't daven Shemona Esrei Ma'ariv. Ma'ariv is a Rishus. So they instituted Baruch Hashem La'olam, where people would come, they would daven Ma'ariv, they would daven B'Chas Kriya Shema, they wouldn't daven Shemona Esrei. They said Baruch Hashem La'olam, which has in it 18 Haskaras of Hashem's name instead of Shemona Esrei, and they daven that instead of Shemona Esrei.
Good deal.
Yes, much quicker. Much quicker. So they daven that instead of Shemona Esrei. Now that they reinstituted Shemona Esrei, the question was, do we leave Baruch Hashem La'olam, or do we take it out? And the reason we take it out is because it's nefsek. It's hefsek. Whatever Chazal put in, you can put in.
But you're saying the Kaddish is hefsek too.
Yeah, but Chazal put in the Kaddish. So, and if you can answer Amen also, because then you have no choice, you have to answer Amen. But to go put it, to leave Baruch Hashem L'Olam, that's why a lot of minhagim are, they take it out, because without the whole Shemona Esrei, what do you need Baruch Hashem L'Olam for?
You have to also mention that the reason.
Hulu also they take. I mean, you know, any kind of shamru.
Yeah. Shamru also some people don't say for that reason, because even though, I'm not saying now that there's no din to Masmach Gula Tefillah, there is. You have to come into Gula Richter to say Ashkevenu. But it's much more lenient than by Shachris. Much more lenient than by Shachris. Now there's another big nafkamina in Shachris. The Shachris said there's a din to Masmach Gula Tefillah by Shachris. How about if somebody is davening Shachris, he comes to Gal Yisrael, and he's late, whatever, or he's in the wrong minyan, and they start Musaf. They start Musaf. So maybe you should daven Musaf with them at Tzibur. What should you daven? Shachris or Musaf? Men has a feeling Shachris.
No, we have to have that shayla. If someone comes in when we daven Marav early.
Okay, say something else.
Some guy comes in, he thinks it's mincha time, but it's actually Shemona for Marav. And when he davens, is he considered davening with a minyan?
That's the question.
It's still time for a shachar. You should daven shachar.
Yeah. Yes, but that's the question. Mincha Marav, we'll get to in a second. Mincha Marav is different. But if someone has a choice to daven with the tzibur, right? So he could daven now Musaf with the tzibur.
Right.
So he got to Gal Yisrael, and they're davening Musaf. So should he daven Musaf or should he daven Shachris? Which one should he daven?
So if he davens Shachris, but the tzibur is actually daven Musaf, that's for sure not called Tefillah B'tzibur, you think?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
That's what my question is.
I didn't say that. That could be it's called Tefillah B'tzibur. That could be it's called Tefillah B'tzibur.
Okay.
We do paskin if you. I think we paskin that if you're davening Shachris and then davening Musaf, it is Tefillah B'tzibur. There's a difference. If you're davening, to check it up, if I remember correctly, if you're davening Shachris at the time that the shul is davening Shachris, but you're not davening with the shul, you're davening elsewhere, that's called Tefillah B'tzibur.
Right.
If you're davening Shachris at the time the shul is davening Musaf, but you're not there, it's not called Tefillah B'tzibur.
Okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, if you're davening Shachris in the shul and then davening Musaf, it's called Tefillah B'tzibur.
Okay.
I think so. I think when you're part of the tzibur, consider Tefillah B'tzibur. So Mincha Marav is different. Mincha Marav difference is because it's a steer. Either it's time for Mincha or it's time for Marav.
But that's both.
Obviously,
what are you? It's not both.
If it's plug time, it could be either.
No, and now the second is it's time for Mincha or Marav. It's not both.
No.
You could decide today that you want to daven Mincha before Plag, Marav after Plag.
Right.
But if today you're davening Mincha after Plag, so now it's Mincha time. So there's a steer. So there's a question if you could be able to Tefillah B'tzibur. But Shachris and Musaf you could. Shachris and Musaf, you're davening Shachris and davening Musaf, it's not a problem. You can be, as long as you're in the shul with them davening at the same time.
So now, how is your question?
Yeah, so the question is, could I do it? Could I go ahead and I come to Gal Yisrael, I want to daven Musaf with the Eilu, I'll daven Shachris later.
Oh, I see, okay.
Could I go ahead and daven Musaf? And we say Gula L'Tefillah.
I think you said no. We learned that, no?
Why not? Why can't you do it? Why can't you do it?
The Shachos comes before Musaf, but once you daven Musaf, you've kind of said that's it for Shachos. But we have this question regarding women. Women come to shul and it's time for Musaf, so they daven Musaf and they go back after stuff.
They could daven Shachos. Yeah, they daven Musaf. They could do that. 100%. They come to shul. A woman comes to shul. They didn't say anything yet.
Right.
You come to shul and they daven Musaf. You daven Musaf with them. And later on, you daven Shachos. Yeah, sure you can do that. Here the question: what should I do? Should I better daven Musaf with the tzibur or daven? So the Stipler has a whole question which we spoke about earlier a little bit. What's a din in Semech Gula L'Tefillah? Chakir, I told you before, is really the Stipler speaks about it in Bereshis. Is it a din in the Geula, that you have to be Semech the Geula to a Tefillah? Or is it a din in the Tefillah? In Shachris, you have to be Shachris is your Masmech Gula L'Tefillah. If it's a din in the Tefillah, in the Shachris, so then if you take all Yisrael, you should daven Shachris right away. Because Shachris needs a smichas geula l'tefillah. It's not if it's a din in the geula itself that after the geula you have to go ahead and daven Shachris right away, or daven a tefillah right away. So who cares which tefillah it is? As long as you go and you had a tefillah afterwards, you masmach the geula to tefillah. If it's a din in the Shemona Esrei, that the Shemona Esrei needs to it a geula, that was said in Shachris. A musaf it wasn't said. A mincha it wasn't said. So if you go ahead, you're davening Shachris, you say go Yisrael, you have to continue into Shachris according to that. You cannot daven a musaf. Because the din is that Shachris needs the smichas of the geula to the tefillah. So according to that, you would have to go ahead and daven Shachris right away. You can't daven musaf.
That would fit with that score that I said before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what you said before. That the din of the
I was saying that before.
yeah. No, the Tzabeh has the chakir. He doesn't. I don't think he's machriya. I don't think he's machriya. I think he himself brings out this chiluk, if I'm not mistaken, between Shachris and musaf. So therefore, if someone's davening Shachris and comes to go Yisrael, according to this, you have to daven Shachris. Even if you want, you can't go ahead into musaf. The din in the Shachris, you have to masmech the geula to tefillah Shachris, not to tefillah this musaf.
But if the tzibur davening musaf is still tefillah b'tzibur.
Yeah, if tefillah is davening musaf and you are in the shul with them and you're davening Shachris, it's called tefillah b'tzibur. It's called tefillah b'tzibur. That's called tefillah b'tzibur. To be, if I'm not mistaken, if you're not in the shul and you want to be mechavet at the same time, then
you're not in the shul. You can't be part of it. You can't be.
No, the halacha, if someone is home, he's not feeling well.
No, it's better, but you're not part of a minyan.
No, it's called to be mechavet tefillah b'tzibur should be mispalim. You should do that.
Yeah, you should, but you're not considered.
It's called. It hasn't been tefillah b'tzibur.
Really?
Yeah. If a person is not feeling well and it's home for Shabbos, let's say, you know. But Erech, what time the shul davens? I mean, it depends. It depends what about tefillah is. If you have a guy who's a chazan, it may take longer. But if you know, but Erech, when they daven, you're supposed to try to be mechaber in the same time as the shul davens, and then you have a mile of tefillah b'tzibur. But that's only if you're davening the same tefillah they're davening. But if you're davening with the tzibur, even though it's a different Shemona Esrei, it's also tefillah b'tzibur.
So you said the Steipler talks about two different approaches to this question?
Yeah, the Steipler speaks out what is a din of masmech chula tefillah. Is it a din in the Shemona Esrei? Or is it a din in the geula? So if it's a din in the geula, so then it doesn't make a difference. So would it make a difference which tefillah? Could be Shachris, could be musaf, would it make a difference? If it's a din in the tefillah, then it has to be Shachris. You can't go ahead and daven musaf.
So, but if you want to say that, then the way I was saying before is you could say that it's a din in Marav tefillah and a din in Shachris tefillah, but not mincha, not musaf.
Right.
So you can use what I was saying before.
But the question, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
Schmoozing to your davening, you don't get that.
A big mitzvah in this, eh?
Here, look what it says here. Mincha Marav. Oit chasru. V'mkam Yishem akdimim l'spal arvis. And Vayetzei. V'bola beis ha'knesses v'shosham v'schilim baruch hu. Hu lo yispal mincha. He didn't have mincha. It comes to davening Marav. He didn't have a mincha yet. Yispal mincha ba'oit shehem kayim kriyish ma b'chaseh. Daven mincha right away. While they're saying kriyish ma and the brachas. V'achar kach yispal arvis ha'matzibur. V'achar kach yikra kriyish ma b'chaseh v'layla.
It's a quick davening.
Yeah, so you have to chaper out Shemona Esrei, you mincha,
and that's not Tarti the Sasra because they're both after plug.
The problem is a Tarti the Sasra.
It is, yeah.
The problem is a Tarti the Sasra. That's the question of Mr. Brewer. It's a Tarti the Sasra. The question is, this is the famous question we spoke of a few times. Yeah. If you could daven mincha Meir the same day after plug before Shkia, Mr. Brewer says you could. Ochar miyela the fifth hour is minyan b'layla.
Well, he says you can. If you come late, he says that's what you should do.
No, you can't do it.
Yeah.
As opposed to waiting until after Shkia.
No, so Mr. Bruce is not the way of it.
Really?
Yeah, Mr. Bruce says it. Yeah, Oit Kasvu. The Mekami Shemek Dimon L'Spal Aris B'Yad Yom. V'Bola Beis HaKnesses B'Shosham V'Schilim Baruch Hu. V'Hu Lo Yispalul Mincha. Yispalul Mincha B'Oit Shehem Kayim Krishna B'Chaseh. V'Achach Yispalul Aris Ematzibur. By the way. V'Achach Yikra Krishna B'Chaseh B'Layla.
But here's the insist on it to daven mincha before the plug and Arabic.
He doesn't say that. No,
I don't know.
You can't. Obviously after the plug, the davening Ma'ariv.
No, but this is
Ma'ariv after plug, but mincha before.
Yeah, but you didn't have mincha before the plug. You came in. You came into shul.
You came in late.
No, but this case is not talking about the plug time. It's talking about like when it's almost dark outside it. There's a difference.
Well,
Davening then or davening right after plug.
Where did it? By the it says.
But I don't think it's talking
But by means before Shkia.
Before Shkia?
Yeah, by the means before Shkia. If it's after Shkia, what are you doing davening mincha?
Yeah. No, you're a Hasidish, you know. Yeah.
So he says. So the people. So the Mishnah says that if you davening mincha while the davening ma'ariv, but then he says, but if you know you have a minyan later on, I want to speak out. Okay, if you have the tefillas arvis minyan belayla, if you have a minyan ma'ariv later on, yamtim et tefillas mincha lehispalo b'shor she'atzibur mispalo in arvis. Don't daven mincha now, the ma'ariv right away together with the tzibur. Ma'ariv daven later on, but wait to daven mincha while they're davening ma'ariv, and then daven mincha with tzibur while they're davening ma'ariv. This is what the Mishnah Berurah says. So Magen Avram argues. So Magen Avram says, if you're going to daven mincha, the time they're davening ma'ariv, it's not tefillah b'tzibur. It's nothing. You come into the shul, they're davening ma'ariv, and you go ahead, you want to daven mincha. So Magen Avram holds it's nothing. Why? Mincha and shachris and if we say is good, and mincha and ma'ariv is not good. What's the difference?
Different days, no?
So explain to Magen Avram because mincha and ma'ariv is a steer to each other.
Right.
Either it's time for Ma'ariv or it's time for Mincha. So if you hold it's time for Mincha now and they're davening Ma'ariv, you're not with them. You're not with them.
You can't become a tzibur with
you can't
something that you're being
right. You can't become a tzibur with something you're being cited to them.
Yeah.
You're davening Mincha now you want to become part of that tzibur? No, you can't daven Ma'ariv now.
So many times I see that in the base of Medrash.
I've done that.
With his plug.
Come in late.
People are coming in. You think they're davening Mincha and they're davening Ma'ariv.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're stuck. If you come in late, you have to have mincha. What can you do? I mean,
so the question,
you're not getting to it.
The question is, should you go ahead and make sure you start davening mincha while they're davening ma'ariv? Or does it make a difference?
But people are here for a wedding. They should be told because they think
but one second. No, but 1 second. I said some Magen Avram.
Yeah.
And the Mishnah Berurah says that you are tefillah b'tzibur. He says you should make sure you wait to daven while they're davening ma'ariv.
Right.
He quotes the Prima Gadim. The Prima Gadim argues in the Magen Avram.
Okay.
Right.
The Magen Avram says you cannot be Yaitze Mincha and Ma'ariv at the same time.
Right.
The Prima Gadim says you could.
Yeah.
I was explaining to you what's trying the Magen Avram.
Yeah.
Why is it different than Shachas and Musaf? Everyone agrees you could do together. So why Mincha and Ma'ariv not? And the answer is because Mincha and Ma'ariv is a steal.
Right.
Either it's Mincha time or it's Ma'ariv time. So you want to be part of it, Tzibur, it's not Ma'ariv. For some reason the Prima Gadim held it's not a problem.
Okay. There you go.
I mean, it could be the reason for the Prima Gadim is that what's the steer?
Says he can't do it.
What's the steer? They're not doing anything wrong. They could have Ma'ariv if they want. So you have to know if it's a steer or not. I'm not sure what the Prima Gadim holds. But the Rambam has a good svara. It's a steer. They can hold it's Ma'ariv. I can hold it's Mincha. It's not a steer. Because tomorrow I could have a marriage, I can hold this mincha, I can hold this time for marriage also.
Right at this moment, it's a steer.
Right at this moment, it's a steer. That's not the Magen Avram.
And you want to, and the point is, you want to become one with them and be a tzibur with them.
And you can't be one with them.
How can you do that if what you're at, the essence of what you're doing
is saying that it's not marriage.
Separating from them. That way, there's a way for it to say that it's a steer.
That's the Magen Avram svara. That's the Magen Avram svara. It's excellent svara.
You have to at least have in mind that you're davening mincha and you know that they're davening mar. Does it make a difference?